this video, we're going to focus on solving two-step equations. So let's start with the basics. We're going to cover equations with fractions, parentheses, variables on both sides, and even decimals. But let's start with the basic two-step equations. So how would you solve this equation? Let's say that 3x plus 5 is equal to 17. What's the first thing that we need to do in this problem? In order to solve this equation, we need to isolate the x variable. So the first thing we need to move is the 5. We want to get x by itself on the left side, so we need to get rid of the 5. Since the 5 is added to 3x, let's perform the opposite operation. Let's subtract both sides by 5. 5 and negative 5, those two will cancel. So what we have left over on the left side of the equal sign is 3x. 17 minus 5 is 12. Now all we need to do is separate the 3 from the x. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we need to divide both sides by 3. So x is 12 divided by 3, which is 4. And this is the answer. Here's another example. Let's try a similar example, but slightly different. So let's say that 17 minus 5x is equal to 2. If that's the case, what is the value of x? So what do you think we need to do in this problem? Well, we need to get rid of the 17 first. On the left, we have positive 17. So we need to begin by subtracting both sides by 17. So these two will add to 0. And then we could bring down the negative 5x. Positive 2 minus 17, that's equal to negative 15. Next, let's divide both sides by negative 5. Negative 5 divided by itself is 1, leaving behind 1x. Negative 15 divided by negative 5 is positive 3. Whenever you divide by two negative numbers, you're going to get a positive result. And so that is the answer. Now let's move on to our next example. Consider this equation. 9 is equal to 3 plus x divided by 4. So we have a fraction. What do you think we need to do in this problem? Well, in this problem, we could start by subtracting both sides by 3, just as we've been doing. Nine minus 3 is 6. Now let's bring down the fraction. So 6 is equal to x divided by 4. The opposite of division is multiplication. So since x is divided by 4, to get rid of that, let's multiply both sides by 4. On the right side, the 4's will cancel, leaving behind an x variable. On the left, we have 4 times 6, which is 24. And so that is the answer. Go ahead and take a minute and try this example. So 8 plus x divided by 3 is equal to 12. So pause the video and write this equation down. Go ahead and solve it. So I'm going to start off by subtracting both sides by 8. Twelve minus 8 is 4. Now, in the next step, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. So on the left, the 3's will cancel. On the right, we have 4 times 3, which is 12. And so that's going to be the answer for this problem. X is equal to 12. Here's another one that you could try. So in this example, the x variable is on the right side. So go ahead and try it. So this problem is very similar to the first two problems that we covered. Even though the x variable is on the other side, the same rules apply. Let's begin by subtracting both sides by 2. So 14 minus 2, that's 12. And on the right side, these will cancel just as before. And as you can see, solving these equations, they're not that difficult. Now, we need to divide both sides by 3. And so x is going to be 12 divided by 3, so x is 4 in this example. Now, sometimes you may have multiple x variables, like in this problem. 3x plus 8 plus 5x. Let's say this is all equal to 32. Now, what should we do in this example? Now, this problem might require more than 2 steps, so it might be a multi-step problem, which I'll have more later in this video. But what do you think we need to do in this problem? If you see 2 x variables on the same side, the first thing you should do is combine like terms. So we should add 3x and 5x, which is 8x. Now we have a problem that's similar to the ones that we dealt with in the beginning. So let's go ahead and subtract both sides by 8. 8 minus 8 is 0. We can bring down the 8x. And on the left side, we have 32 minus 8, which is 24. And now let's divide both sides by 8. So 8x divided by 8 is simply x. 24 divided by 8 is 3. And therefore, this is the answer. X is equal to 3. And now it's your turn. Go ahead and work on this problem. Let's say that 7x plus 2 minus 3x is equal to 26. So pause the video and try that. So let's begin by combining like terms. Let's combine 7x and negative 3x. 7 minus 3 is positive 4. So we have positive 4x plus 2, which is equal to 26. Next, let's subtract both sides by 2. 26 minus 2, that's going to be 24. And let's bring down the 4x. Now we need to separate 4 from x, so let's divide both sides by 4. 4x divided by 4 is x, and 24 divided by 4 is 6. And so that's the answer. X is equal to 6. Now sometimes you may have a variable found on both sides of the equation. So what do you think we need to do in this problem? In this problem, what you want to do is you want to move all the x variables to one side of the equation and all the numbers to the other side. So let's move the 5x from the left to the right side. So we can accomplish that by subtracting both sides by 5. Now simultaneously, we can add 8 to both sides. We can move all the constant terms, all the numbers without x, to the left side. The 8's will cancel and the 5x will cancel. So on the left, we just have a number. 4 plus 8 is 12. On the right side, we have a variable, 8x minus 5x is 3x. So now all we need to do is divide by 3 at this point. And so x is equal to 4. And that's it. So that's how you can solve that equation. Here's a similar example. 13 minus 2x is equal to 4x. So now it's your turn. Go ahead and work on that problem. So now what I'm going to do is add 2x to both sides. And at the same time, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Doing it this way will allow me to get rid of all the x variables on the left and all the constant terms on the right. So on the left, I just have 13 plus 5, which is 18. And on the right, 4x plus 2x, which is 6x. So now all I need to do is divide both sides by 6. And so x is going to be 18 divided by 6, which is 3. Sometimes you may have parentheses in the equation, like this one. Let's say that 3 times 2x minus 4 plus 1 is equal to 7. So what do you think we need to do in order to solve this particular equation? What ideas do you have? Well, what we need to use is the distributive property. We need to distribute 3 to 2x minus 4. So first, let's multiply 3 times 2x. That's going to be 6x. Next, let's multiply 3 by negative 4, and that's negative 12. And let's rewrite everything else. Now our next step is to combine like terms. Negative 12 and 1 are like terms on the same side. So negative 12 plus 1, we can exchange that for negative 11, since they're equivalent to each other. Now all we need to do at this point is first add 11 to both sides. And then we could divide. Right now we have 6x, which is equal to 7 plus 11, which is 18. And then we could divide by 6. 18 divided by 6 is 3. And so that's our answer. X is equal to 3. Here's another problem that's, well, let's try a similar problem first. Go ahead and try this one. So let's begin with the distributive property. Let's multiply 5 by 3x, just like we did before. And so that's going to be 15x. Next, we have 5 times 4, which we know to be 20. And then let's rewrite the other stuff. Now let's combine like terms. We can add 20 and 2, which we know it's going to be 22. So we have 15x plus 22, which is equal to 37. Now our next step is to subtract both sides by 22. $37 minus 22, that's 15. So now all we need to do is divide both sides by 15. 15 divided by 15 is 1. And so that's going to be our answer. X is equal to 1. Now sometimes you may have parentheses on both sides of the equation. So let's try an example that illustrates that. So let's say we have 2 plus 4 times 3x plus 2. And let's say that's equal to 3 minus 4 times, well, let's change that. Let's say it's 2 times 5x plus 1 plus 14. So using what you know, go ahead and solve this particular equation. Find the value of x. So we need to use distributive property. First, let's multiply 4 by 3x and then by 2. Four times 3x is 12x, and 4 times positive 2, that's equal to 8. On the right side, we need to multiply 2 by 5x, which is 10x, and then 2 times 1, which is 2. Now let's combine like terms. On the left side, we can combine 2 and 8. On the right side, 2 and 14. Now 2 plus 8 adds up to 10. And 2 plus 14 is 16. So now let's isolate the x variables. Let's subtract both sides by 10x. So doing this will give us an x variable only on the left side. And let's subtract both sides by 10 so that we're going to have a constant number on the right side. 12x minus 10x is 2x. 16 minus 10 is 6. Now all we need to do is divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And so x is equal to 3. And that's the answer. Here's a similar problem that you could try. Let's say that 5 minus 2 times 3x plus 4 is equal to 3 minus 4 times 2x plus 1. So based on the last problem, go ahead and try these problems. So let's start with the distributive property. Let's multiply negative 2 by 3x. That's going to be negative 6x. And then let's multiply negative 2 by 4, which is negative 8. On the right side, let's start with negative 4 times 2x. That's negative 8x. And then negative 4 times 1, which is negative 4. Now let's combine like terms. So we can combine those two on the left and 3 and negative 4 on the right. 5 minus 8, that's going to be negative 3. And 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Now let's add 8x to both sides. This will give us an x variable on the left side, and it's going to be positive. And let's add 3 to both sides, so we can get a constant term on the right side. Negative 6x plus 8x is 2x. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. So if we divide both sides by 2, we can see that x is going to be 1. And that's it for that.